Welcome to Upfront with Lady Bri. I'm your host, Ladybrianaanderson. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me again. I am so sorry about last week. I was unfortunately at my stepfather's funeral and repast. Make sure to keep us in prayers, especially my mom, regarding the passing of my stepfather. Let's get into it. Today we're going to talk about relationships, singleness, purity, marriage, all of the things. We're going to have a chat for real today. You may not like some of the things I say, or you may appreciate some of the things I say. It may help you, or it may not. It just depends on where you're at in life and what you feel you can gain from me and my advice to you. First things first, I want to start off with my single ladies. So as a single woman, many of us, like before I was married, we date, we get to know people, we understand what we like, what we don't like. And if you don't, that's something that you should really ponder on and think about, because when you get into a relationship, your husband, which you should be dating to get married, okay? I am a firm believer of that. Marriage has many benefits, but before we get into that, when you date, you should be dating to get married. With that in mind, you should know what kind of husband you want, what kind of man that you want, what kind of man will help lead you to be the best version of yourself, meaning he's going to steer you to Christ. He's going to steer you on a path of fruitfulness. Together, you all should be able to grow and become better people and be able to build something over the course throughout your relationship. And the goal, of course, with marriage is to be together forever, to never divorce, to never split, to never separate. I know that doesn't always happen with everyone, and that's God's grace, right? Repenting and seeking God's forgiveness on that, which he gave us forgiveness when he died on the cross, Jesus Christ, over 2,000 years ago. So with that being said, as a single woman, we must sometimes refrain from certain things, right? Like I would say, abstain from intercourse and anything sexual, because I feel as though, like, even not even from a biblical standpoint, like I'm always coming to you from a Bible standpoint, you should definitely not be fornicating, but just from even a reality standpoint, like a natural standpoint, like doing that only leads you to what? Like it clouds your judgment. You tend to overlook red flags. It just messes you up. So in order to remain clear and have clarity, and that's on both sides, is to just refrain. Get to know somebody. See if you like them. See if you see red flags of things that in a marriage you wouldn't be able to stand and things of that nature. I feel like intercourse many times can cloud our judgment and cause us to look the other way on certain things that are big red flags. So I feel that this topic today really is to dive deep into these different categories of a relationship and understanding, what you should be looking for in a relationship, male and female. Because I feel like many times we tend to overlook things because of maybe you're attracted to the person. Maybe it's something, maybe you feel like you can have some sort of financial gain from this person, etc. But what I will say is that if you are doing things right, the right way within Christ, there will always be a gain within that relationship if both of you guys our focus is Christ and his laws and his rules for our life, right? Jesus said in Matthew that the intent from the beginning was Adam and Eve. It was for one man to be with one woman and for them to be married, for them to come together, leave their mothers, leave their father, and come together and become one. So that is something that is extremely serious, especially in the kingdom of God. It's something that God definitely honors. It's a covenant that he it's an oath. It's a covenant between you and your spouse. So that's why it's important on who you date, who you marry, who you choose to be with. Because if you choose to be with the wrong person, your marriage is not going to be what you want it to be. You're not going to be happy, and you're not going to be satisfied. You're going to always end up looking in other places or somewhere else for that satisfaction, instead of saying, you know what, let me pick right from the beginning. Let me make sure I'm good. Let me make sure I'm in a good frame of mind. Let me make sure I'm mentally healthy. I am where I need to be a great spouse to somebody, and also find a great spouse for myself. So I think that's a conversation that me and my single ladies are having right now. Just making sure that you're mentally healthy, that you can communicate properly, that you don't need to yell, you don't need to curse, you don't need to do things against your spouse or talk down to your spouse or your friend or your partner, whoever, but you're able to have healthy boundaries and set those boundaries and have healthy levels of communication. Everybody's relationship is different. Some people can joke around and play. Some people just can't, because their partner may be a little bit more on the serious side, or they both may be serious and that's just not their relationship, but they're happy and they're content where they're at. It just depends on your relationship and how you view that relationship, and it should just and overall align with what Christ would want for us and what Christ would expect us to do. Love thy neighbor. We should love and respect our husbands, and our husbands should love and respect us. Most of all, though, biblically, the husband should love you like Christ loves the church, right? So he died for the church. He sacrificed so much for us. So that is how your husband should be for you, and vice versa. You should respect your husband. That's what it tells us to do. Respect him, honor him. He is the head. So you should love him, but most of all, you should respect him and give him the honor that he's due. That would be my advice when you're dating, is just to remember those things. Have those things in the back of your mind. Like, you know, the parenting styles, how is his finances? Can he, in terms of not what he can spend on you, but is he financially sound? Meaning, like, can he make good decisions financially? Does he make good decisions overall in his life? Do you see him as a leader? Do you see him as someone that can lead your home effectively? Do you see him as a great father? Would you see him in these different aspects of life that would make you happy overall, not just in one little aspect? Oh, he makes me happy over here, but in all aspects. And if he's not great at something, how can you help and bring that to the forefront in a positive and reassuring way, not in a negative or downing way, but in a way to say, you know what, I noticed that he's a spender, like he's not that great with finances. Maybe it's something I can do, that we can do together to kind of get on the path and see where he goes from there. And then if you see that there's no willingness to change, then you kind of move on. But in relationships, there's always going to be compromise. There's always going to be a back and forth in some type of way, but it's the way you handle it and the way you communicate those things in a healthy way. Not talking down to someone, not cursing them out, not being erratic, but taking a logical point of view and a logical step and saying, hey, you know what? I'm heated right now. Maybe I should take a couple minutes and, you know, think about it, think things through, and go from there. And your partner has to respect those boundaries, and vice versa. Now we can move on to marriage. You know, being in a relationship it should lead to marriage. So we're going to hop into marriage, and that sphere of life. Marriage is, many times people have negative things to say, and that's what throws me out, because I'm like, the devil is a whole liar. I love being married. I have no regrets in that sense. I think that marriage is a beautiful thing, and I think that when two people can come together, and even if they have differences, they can lay those differences aside and compromise and come to a solution, bring God to the forefront, push past any negativity. You can have a beautiful marriage. Many people, they always are looking for the downfalls of marriage, like infidelity, gambling, addictions, whatever the case may be, and just to be like, see, that's why you shouldn't get married. But in reality, like, that's no excuse. Like, you're either gonna get married and do things the right way and be married to the right people and actually pay attention to what they tell you and their actions before marrying them, or just hopping into a marriage and honoring those things and just paying attention to that, because that is your time before you get married, before you rush into something, is to get to know the person and see if they are the person for you. Everybody's not going to be for you, and that's totally fine. Like, okay, we move on and we find the right person. Well, the man will find you, and the woman should not be trying to find a man. He will find you, the right one. Focus on God. Put yourself out there. When I say put yourself out there, if you're single, I'm going to go back to single women really quick. If you're single, your husband is not going to find you in your house, or you just going to church, or you just going to work, to church, and then to your house, and you don't really do anything else. You have to go places. You have to, be out and seen so someone can see you. All because you go on dates and, like, that is your time to get to know someone does not mean you have to sleep with them, does not mean you have to go any further. Go out on a date. It doesn't have to be an illustrious date. It could be a normal date to get to know somebody. Because sometimes you don't know. Somebody that takes you to a coffee shop could be a millionaire, and you just got the perks of that. Or someone that took you to the coffee shop can just be somebody who is finding his way, and his way is to one day become an entrepreneur, a doctor, a lawyer, work in tech, work in accounting, like something that would lead him to a good career path, or a good path that will be able to be a provider for your family. But then also you just want to make sure he is truly a man of God. Like, people can say that they're a man of God and they're Christians, but does his actions show it? The fruit that he bears will show that. You won't even have to, like, think twice about it. And many times we are looking at the negativity of social media and people to tell us who to date, who not, and etc. And instead of looking at our own lives and looking at the people who may be in front of us, who may actually treat you with respect, who may love you, who may cherish you, and may be a great fit for you, but you ignore it, or you're saying, like, oh, I'm going to be single forever, or whatever. And remember that the power is in your tongue, right? So the power of life and death is in your tongue. So whatever you speak of yourself, of your life, of your relationship, of your things, is what it's more than likely going to be. I remember growing up, like, my best friend can vouch me on this. Like, I would say a lot of things that has now come to pass, because at that time I didn't really understand the power of life and death in my tongue, but I always knew that, like, this is what I want. This is what is going to happen. Like, I have no doubts. And most of the things that I say happen because you have to believe that. So with the relationship, if you're single and you want somebody, you have to say, this is what I want. But also you have to realize, are you the woman that he will want? Are you the man that she will want? You're asking these things, but you have to also realize, are you the person that this person will want? And if you're not, take a step back and say, how can I become this person? And the person that you should be for the right person, God can help you with that. That is number one. He can help you get you to the point of where you need to be for the right person. Sometimes people are not ready for the type of relationship that they want, because they're not the person that they need to be. They may have low self-esteem. They may be too timid where they're scared to talk to people. They may be in a bad spot, not in a great position, not in a great situation right now for a relationship. And that's okay. But you have to get up and do something about it. You have to. There's no doubt in my mind that in order to get what you want in life, you have to put in some level of work. It speaks about this biblically too. Those who are lazy get lazy results. Those who work hard, they get the results of a person that works hard and thinks smart. This only leads to greater outcomes. Many times we see destruction of marriages because of lack of accountability somewhere, lack of proper communication, And those are the two biggest issues with people. Lack of accountability and lack of communication, proper communication, effective communication. Bossing your husband around, or bossing your boyfriend around, or bossing people you may go on a date around is not going to turn out well in the long run. It may be okay right now. They may be infatuated with you right now, but eventually people get tired of that kind of stuff. Men get tired of that. They don't need a mama. They need a wife. Period. Point blank, period. And I'm talking to my single ladies too, because you have to see yourself as a wife too. Wives know that they're wives. You have to know you're a wife too. You're going to be a wife too. So walk in it, talk in it, think like it. Show respect, show love, show dignity. Even when we get upset, if we're wrong and we said something wrong, it's not the end of the world. You just turn around and you say, you know what, I was wrong in that sense. I take accountability for my actions. I take accountability for the things that I have said. Therefore, I'm going to apologize to you. I'm going to ask you, let's move forward. And if he needs time, give him the space he may need and move forward and learn from it. That's my advice. Learn from the mistakes you make and stop making the same mistakes over and over. It's insane. You come off insane. We come off insane when we keep doing the same stuff over and over that does not yield results. We got to stop. With that being said, married women. Many of us have to stop with the crap, the talking down, the treating our husbands like they're our kids. They're not your kids. They're the man, and husbands need to also step up in some type of way. And you can respectfully respectfully put your foot down in your marriage. Respectfully. You don't have to be disrespectful. You can have a conversation. Hey, I really don't like when you say this to me this way. And some people are fine with the way they communicate with each other in their marriages because they know their spouse. And it may not bother them like it may bother somebody on the outside. It's women who I see who are married and their spouse may on the outside to us may be wrong. Like, he shouldn't be talking to her like that. But she has respect for him. She's not going to disrespect him in public. She's not going to let you see it. That's none of your business. So that's how we have to learn to move. We can't just rah, rah, rah. And that's both sides. That's the man and the woman. We both have to understand respect. That's number one in a marriage. Number two, your financial situations, how this person spends, how that person spends, understanding how to navigate together and be like, you know what? We have a problem. We need to hire or get somebody to help us with our problem, whether that be financially, meaning reading your word can help you solve your problem. But if it's something where it's like, okay, financially, we have this issue. We like to spend money. We know we need to learn how to reel that in and place our money into more effective things that will yield us results. Doing things like that. Like, this is where you come in as married couples and working together to build something bigger than just you. Sometimes you have to sacrifice things so you can get to the next level of where you need to be in your relationship, in your finances, in your marriage, and your, as parents, it's so many things that comes within a marriage that are wonderful when you do it right. That's why when they online, all men cheat, don't listen to that stuff, I'm telling you, because not all men cheat. Some men actually respect their bodies, respect their partner, love God enough to know I'm not going down that road because, for one, I love God. For two, I love my wife. And for three, I respect myself. So understanding that not all men are going to cheat. Not all men are going to do what you see majority of the men on social media doing. I'm telling you that now because when they did a study on who cheats, like between men and women. Women were only like 4% less than men. So women are cheating too. So, but I don't see, I don't see man going online saying, I'm not getting married because women cheat. They don't do that at the rates that we do that. We have to stop that foolishness. Not everybody's going to cheat. Not everybody's going to do that, because some people respect themselves and their partners and they love God for real. So we just have to understand and look at people's character and say, you know what, even if somebody does fall in this area, are they willing to change and be a better person? Not lip service, but actually showing the actions of being a better person. And you can forgive and work that out and move on. But now we live in this time period where we think the grass is always greener on the other side. There's no greener grass on the other side like we may think. It just depends on your grass. So I'm not talking to people who are in abusive relationships, who are constantly being abused and cheated on in any way. Like, I would agree, like, you need to move on and move away with your life, because that's just not healthy. That's not safe. And God wouldn't want someone in that situation, period. So my whole take is just, with purity, as a single woman, keeping yourself pure, because in a man, it allows you to open your eyes and see people for who they are without the clouded judgment that comes with that. Is it easy? No, but nothing worth having and keeping is easy in this world. Period. Not even your salvation is easy to keep. You have to work in some capacity, meaning tune out the crap and be focused on Christ. It's not always easy, but you have to do what you have to do. And sometimes you may fall, but that's what grace is for. And that's why you get up and you turn and repent and move on. It's the same way with a relationship. It's the same way with being single. Same way with purity. Having a goal, being on the straight and narrow, being on the right path, pursuing forward and not looking back. Forgiveness, being able to forgive yourself, because Jesus forgave us over 2,000 years ago. So that means that we should be able to be free of things. And when we make a mistake, when we miss the mark, because that's what sin is, missing God's mark, we turn and repent and we don't look back. We say, thank you, Lord, for your forgiveness, and forgive yourself. So I know I'm a little tough on you guys today, but I see a lot in relationships just popped into my head and my heart for this topic of this week. So I'm like, let me touch on these things, because obviously it needs to be said. Somebody needs encouragement in that area, whether it be a marriage, whether it be a single person, whether it be someone dating someone or someone going on dates and feeling discouraged, whatever it may be. I'm here to just let you know, chatting with you, male, female, get a goal, focus on it, look at people's actions, not the lip service, because people say stuff all the time, but then their actions are like completely different than what they say. We see that all the time. So just actions. If this person really likes you, they're going to show you by their actions. If they don't really like you and they want to use you for something, they're going to show you by their actions. Nobody is worth you being that desperate for. Trust me. Because in the long run, when you get older, you're going to resent yourself for dealing with it and putting up with it. So as a single person, you better make sure you're paying attention. And as a married person, work it out, go to God, pray about it. Figure out areas that you may be lacking in that you can help bring into your relationship. Maybe you're not great with being emotional. So maybe that's something that you need to work on in terms of like being empathetic is what I mean. Compassionate on things. Maybe you're not the best at expressing your emotions. That's something, okay, well, how can I do that better? How can I be better? Really, it stems back to love, because if you have love at the focal point and at the root, all of those other things will just happen a little bit more naturally, I would say. When you communicate, it'll be seasoned with grace. You'll see people from a more Christ-like point of view and not your own fleshly, worldly point of view. So that's my take on it. just sit back, look at people's actions, look at yourself, because many times we don't want to look at ourselves. Look at yourself and say, I'm lacking here. How can I be better and improve myself from here? I'm not perfect in my relationship. How can I be better? He's not perfect. She's not perfect in this relationship. How can I talk to this person so that they may understand where I'm coming from and so that they may get better? Pray together, because they've shown that like praying together with your spouse, even though it may feel awkward, because some people just don't like praying in front of other people. You know, I'm one of those people. I like to kind of pray alone. I don't know. I feel like it's a closeness, a better bond with God. But it's important to pray with your spouse, pray with your children if you have children. Not beating yourself up because you've made mistakes in the past. Turning from it, understanding God's forgiveness and not going back to it. Thanking him for his forgiveness. Really being sorrowful in your heart, so much so that you're not going to do it again. And if you do it again, you may need deliverance. If you keep doing something over and over and over, you may need deliverance. And that's something you should pray, fast through for sure. But the whole point is your actions, your accountability, looking at someone else and their actions and what they show you and what they display. Because many times how someone comes to you is how it can end. If somebody comes to you, and this is for people that mess around with married people. If they come to you and you know that they're married, you need to turn away immediately and cut the crap. Seriously. Or if you're single or if you're married and somebody's trying to come to you and they're single, you need to turn. Especially if you know if you've in the past had an issue with lust or anything like that, you definitely need to turn to God and say, you know what? I need help in this area. We have to be real with ourselves. That's the main thing as well. Like, we have to just be real, have accountability, work it out, work things out with Christ, and continue to grow. That's my main thing. I have my Bible here. I always have my Bible. But I've said several things concerning scripture. I hope you paid attention. And my whole thing is stop beating yourselves up. Learn accountability. Learn how to treat and respect your partner if you have one. If you don't, gearing yourself up to do that. Gearing yourself up to understand communication and effective communication. Even when you're upset, that's something we all have to work on. For the most part, I shouldn't say all. Some people have mastered those things. But just understanding the best way to love people. Because if you love, more than likely, most of the other things in your life will fall into line. Finding favor. God's favor is like no other. Trust me. Finding favor and just finding a peace of mind in a way, being content in a way, and finding the right people to be around you too, that would lead you to the right path, that will lead you on to the correct path in both a relationship and singleness and independence. Like, they will help lead you and guide you because they know the word, they follow the word, and their wisdom in that area can help you and become more wise. So I hope you enjoyed today's message or podcast. Make sure you guys comment, like, share, subscribe. That's how it pushes my content out. I'm sorry I did not have a special guest today. I really wanted to, but timelines and time and schedules get busy, and I totally understand that. But hopefully very soon I will have other guests on my show. I love you guys. Remain strong. Stay focused. Stay 10 toes down for the Lord. And just stay encouraged. Stay encouraged, especially during these times. Be encouraged. Love you guys. God bless you, and may he keep you. And as I like to say, follow me as I follow Christ. Be blessed. Bye.